In this video, I want to talk about saving and loading selections. Now, this process is dependent on the knowledge that alpha channels in your Photoshop documents are a way to store selections. Now, depending on your personal graphic experience, you might be thinking of alpha channel in a lot of different ways. In a lot of circumstances, alpha channels denote some level of transparency, where an alpha channel is just a black and white picture, and white is a completely opaque pixel, black is a completely transparent pixel, and you can use them to, if you wanted to have like the edges of a document or an image be transparent. Say if you needed a circular image that is transparent around the outside, but of course an image by its nature is going to be square inside of a computer, then you could use an alpha channel. In Photoshop, it used to be that way. That's kind of what you would always think of as an alpha channel. But several versions back, you were given the ability to add multiple alpha channels to a document. And these days, alpha channels are thought of as ways to store selections. Now, you can still use them for a level of transparency if you're saving out under certain systems, but we're not going to be exploring that. For all intents and purposes, or at least in terms of our discussion, we are only going to be looking at alpha channels as a way to store selection inside of Photoshop. So let's take a look at that. First off, let me make a beautiful selection. So here I have the lasso tool, and I'm using my digital stylus here to make this a whole lot easier. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, the best selection ever. And I don't want to lose this selection, but I do need to do some other things. I want to store this so I can bring it up again later. Well, here's how I can do that. We can go under Select, go down to Save Selection, and we get our little Save Selection dialog. Now this asks some very pertinent questions. It'll ask what document you want to put this into, or if you want to save this out to a brand new document, which can be very helpful if you see yourself really needing to do that at some point. And then it'll ask what channel you want to put this in. Right now, since we don't have an alpha channel, all we're going to get is new. Then we can name this. Let's name this the Smiley Selection. And our operation by default is going to be on new channel the first time we do this. So we'll click OK. It looks like nothing happened. If I hit Control D, I no longer have a selection though. I can go under Select, Load Selection, and then we see Document Jellyfish, because that's the document we're on, and we see Channel Smiley Selection. Click OK, and there we go. Now, we can also do other things as well. So if I draw a couple of little circles out here on the far edges, I can go back under Select, Save Selection, and I can choose to create those on a new channel, or I can put them on the Smiley Selection channel. If I do that, I can choose to add them, subtract them, or intersect, or I can just replace it all together. I'm going to choose Add and click OK, and then I'll hit Control D to deselect. So now if I go back to Select, Load Selection, and choose Smiley, boom, you see that it's all one big thing. Now, that is saving and loading using this menu. I'll be the first to tell you, I never use this menu. Not ever. What I do is I go under the Channels panel, and you can see down here at the bottom, we have Smiley Selection. At any time, you can hold down Control, and you can click on Smiley Selection, and you can select that. You can hold down Alt and click on it, and you can take a look just at the image itself. Now the neat thing about doing that is you can actually paint on this now. So we could grab our paintbrush and we could paint a little nose in if we wanted to, and then hold down Alt and click on that again to get out of there, or just click on our RGB channel and make sure that we are indeed not selecting our alpha channel. If we have that selected along with everything, then you get this red overlay. This is Photoshop's way of telling you what all of your RGB information is, as well as your alpha at the same time. And it threw me off just for a second because I wasn't ready for it. But this is just the result of our entire image. Of course, I can now hit Control and click on the thumbnail for my Smiley Selection, and we just brought that back. Now we can have as many of these as we like. So if I want to make an entirely new selection, say, let's do something a little fancier. Let's create some type. I'm just going to type out my name. In Arial Black, that's fine, and just Zach, and I'll press Enter on my numpad, and that's going to, instead of doing a carriage return, that gets me out of the text tool. I'm going to increase the size just by going over to set the font size right there on the little T icon, and I'll drag that over to the right, and then I'll use the Move tool to kind of center this up in the image. Now if I go over to my Layers panel, we can see the layer that this type exists on. And if I hold down Control and I click on the thumbnail, I get a selection around the edge of those pixels, which is very handy. Now let's hide out that layer. I'll jump back over to Channels, and now at the very bottom, you see we have the add, so this is save selection as channel. We just can't see the tooltip from here. And if I click on this, we get another channel added. We get a new alpha channel, and you can already see what it shows down there inside the thumbnail. So I can hit Control D and deselect, and anytime I want to select that again, just hold down Control and click on that channel, and that brings that back. And again, I can have as many of these as I want. Now, another neat thing about saving selections in this manner is you can use them for a variety of different effects. Just as a random quick example, and this is a little bit off topic, but I do ask that you bear with me for just a second. Let me name this channel. Let's click on this, and we'll call this Zach Name. And then we'll go back up to RGB. I can go under Filter. Actually, let's go over to our Layers. I'll jump back down, make sure I have the background layer selected. We go under Filter, Render, and go down to Lighting Effects. And then at the very bottom of this window, I don't want to get into what this window does really, but if I go down to the bottom of it, I have all my different channels. I can set this over to Zach Name and click OK. And now we get this illuminated kind of beveled effect. So you can see that's making use of that alpha channel information that we got from saving a selection. So just something to kind of throw out there. So you can save as many selections as you like. It's a great way to be able to reference back to an important selection that you know you want to be able to use later down the road. And again, the easiest way I know to do it is just to go into your Channels panel and click on this little tiny icon down here at the bottom, which is Save Selection as a Channel. And that will just take whatever you have selected and store it off. Later on, you can just hold down Control, click on that thumbnail, and you get that selection back. So that's a discussion over saving and loading your selections in Photoshop CS5. Thanks.